Hi, let's look at using multiplication and division to work equations. Now here we have 2x equals 4. Now we're going to use a division in order to work this. Now look at the coefficient of x. That's a 2 on the left hand side in front of the x. So we'll divide 2 into both sides. And notice that on the left hand side those 2's just cancel out. We'll leave us with 1x equals a 2. Now on the right hand side, let's multiply this time. Let's take that coefficient of x 2 and take its reciprocal 1/2 and multiply that times both sides. And notice that again we'll get 2, x equals 2. Now here's a problem. The helicopter in here by Hilbert. 4a equals a negative 32. Take that coefficient of a, which is 4, and divide it into both sides. So on the left hand side those 4's drop out and we get a, and on the right hand side we have a positive into a negative, we'll get a negative 8. Here we go again. 18 equals a negative 6y. Again we're going to use division. The coefficient of y is a negative 6. So let's take and divide that into both sides. So on the right hand side those negative 6 cancel out, leaving a y. And on the left hand side we're dividing a negative 6 into a positive 18, which would give us a negative 3. A negative into a positive. Here we go. A negative 2x equals a negative 12. Coefficient of x is negative 2. Divide that into both sides. So that will leave an x on the left hand side, and on the right hand side we've got a negative 2 into a negative 12. A negative into a negative. The signs are the same, so you get a positive outcome. So x equals 6. Now here, let's do something a little bit different here. Let's multiply something times both sides. Take that coefficient of 9 there and take its reciprocal, which is 1/9. Multiply that times both sides. So you can see on the left hand side those 9's cancel out, leaving us with y, and on the right hand side 3 goes into 9 3 times, and then we have a negative times a positive. You multiply the numerators together in denominators and you get a negative 1/12. Okay, let's do multiplication again here. Let's take the negative 6 and take its reciprocal and multiply that times both sides. So on the left hand side there you notice that 3 will cancel into 6 2 times, and then on the right hand side we just get a, and so we eventually get a equals a 1/16. We have a negative times a negative. When you multiply the numerators and denominators together you get 1/16. On this one here we're going to multiply by a negative 4. And ooh, we got rockets flying through here. Now if you multiply both sides by a negative 4, the left hand side becomes x. The right hand side you have 8 times negative 4. We have a positive times a negative. The signs are different, so we get x equals a negative 32. Now on this one here, use 3/5 as a coefficient of x. Take the reciprocal of that, which is 5/3, and multiply that times both sides. And so on the left hand side you have 5/3 times 21 over 1. The 3 cancels into the 21 7 times, and on the right hand side by multiplying by the reciprocal everything cancels out and you just get an x. So on the left hand side you just get 35. X equals 35. In this case let's multiply by a negative 6 to both sides. The idea is we want to get a 1x on a side by itself. So notice on the left hand side the negative 6 is going to drop out. On the right hand side 3 will cancel into negative 6. 2 times, if you multiply across, 2 times a negative 2 gives us a negative 4 over 1. So x equals a negative 4. In our last example, we're going to divide a negative 1.5 into both sides. So we just get an x on the left-hand side. So on the left-hand side we get x, and on the right-hand side we've got 30 over negative 1.5. Now, if you move the decimal point over one place to the right in both the numerator and denominator in that fraction on the right-hand side, it's the same as dividing a negative 15 into 300.